while we are waiting for our that they are run, we want them to relax. You know this Lagos weather, very so that the people can have a give us first hand weather. So while we are trying to do ourselves, so that we will not see this brother because like our brother, I saw that my brother one day, I was like that year, not know my business, and we were embarrassed. Or I will see this sister, I will not go and so that won't happen again. So let's quickly introduce ourselves. That format. So I'm putting one side and provide that. So let's start with this. Okay, we start. Say that. Let's say. Okay, we start. Say that. Let's say. Okay, we start. Say that. Okay, we start. I will call you and I will ask what's my name and whatever is someone around you and ask your friend to okay, I will call you and ask what's my name and whatever. For instance, I just find myself here this morning. I don't know what this event is about. So I don't find myself here this morning. I don't know what this event is about. And for someone like me, that you are here, probably that's your own mindset. I don't understand it. So some just say, what is the expectation for this event? What do you want to get? Or you probably have a job like I find myself here. I don't want to learn how to code. And for someone like me, because you know that you are here, probably that's your own mindset. I don't understand it. So some just say, what is the expectation for this event? What do you want to get? Or you probably have a job like I find myself here. I don't want to learn how to code. And you go take new picture that we are doing now in the world. So someone like me, I don't even know anything like that. But so I want to ask. Sorry for the distraction. So I would like to ask all now. So I can call on you randomly, don't be offended, and I can actually decide on what to call us to. So, so I would like one or two people to just stand up. What is your expectation? When you hear the topic ICT career talk and the topic for this year is career opportunity in ICT, what comes to your mind? What is that thing that okay, I'm not coming for this event today. Me is like I want to know if I can survive the airport without flying people. So I want us to one or two people to always to say their own as well before we invite our speakers. So randomly just take your hands up before I call you. Because I know I will call. Trust me. Should I call someone now before it's going? Okay. Oh, okay. You will get the question now. Pastor Peter, can you stand up? You will answer the question. What I said was the question I was like, what is your expectation for coming to this event? the event ICT career talk, he said ICT is the new ritual that people are doing now, or the goal, let me that way, that okay, oh, is the future of everything when it comes to jobs in the whole world now. And you say, writing code is difficult, or which career, and which there is another thing you can do in this tech work that you can actually have a career in. What is your expectation? What are your questions? Or what is it that is causing you sleepless nights that you want solutions to in this event? So can you kind of an answer?
That's my question. Like, what do I do when this happens?
I'm not asking you the question, I'm asking what is your expectation? What do you hope to meet? Thank you.
I get that.
So can you kind of an answer?
That's
So is there any audience that
what do I do
I'm not asking you the question, I'm asking what is your expectation? What do you hope to meet? Thank you. Is there anybody that can answer that question? What is your expectation for this event? God can answer.
that?
So is there any audience that can
What do I
answer?
do?
I'm not asking you the question, I'm asking what is your expectation? What do you hope to meet? Thank you.
Yeah, that's what
Is there anybody that can answer that question? What is your expectation for this event? God can answer. So is there any
before that,
audience
I
that
heard
can
about
answer?
this topic from the doctor.
I'm not asking you the question. I'm asking what is your expectation? What do you hope to meet? Thank you.
Yeah, that's what
Is there anybody that can answer that question? What is your expectation? God can answer. So is there any audience that can answer? I'm not asking you the question. I'm asking what is your expectation? What do you hope to meet? Thank you. Is there anybody that can answer that question? What is your expectation? God can answer. So is there any audience that can answer? I'm not asking you the question. I'm asking what is your expectation? What do you hope to meet? Thank you. Is there anybody that can answer that question? What is your expectation? God can answer. So is there any audience that can answer? I'm not asking you the question. I'm asking what is your expectation? Thank you. That's all. Is there anybody that can answer that question? What is your expectation? And it has got of questions. So is there any I'm not asking you the question. I'm asking what is your expectation? Let's thank you. Let's anybody that can answer that question. What is your expectation? And it has got of questions. So is there any is in fact just move round and up and down is the brain behind income ICT solution social ledger. Not only that, when it comes to tech, our CTO, for someone to have in fact over lots of experience. So don't just prepare your mind, I ask a lot to say, prepare your questions for him. It's very, very in fact ready to answer the question. It's very, very good. Don't be shy. So I will invite Mr. Bade Aditomo for his address.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, sir.
I was really hoping to be the second speaker. If I place it there, pick my question. I'll just place it there. I was really hoping to be the second speaker, specifically so that I can just say, as the last speaker said, as the last speaker said, as the last speaker said. But since that isn't going to happen, then I have to be very original. Sorry, just setting up my point. Hi. Cool. So I think this is fine. Yes. So as I was saying, I was hoping to be the second speaker, but welcome everyone. Apologies that we're starting this a bit late. And I hope, like the person that spoke a few moments ago, I said that some of us are gotten to meet somebody else and so on. Because yes, you're right, that networking is also very important because man was never designed to be alone, right? And so you can help each other. My presentation, there are two parts to it. The first part is generic, right? Half of what I'm going to say, hopefully you're already aware of, right? What I'm hoping will happen is it will spur you to have questions. If you have questions, please note that you will probably forget. So I ask that you please write it down so that when the time comes for questions, it will be easy for you to pick it up, right? The title of today's session, the ICT Career Talk, well, first of all, our ICT Career Talk generally was something we decided to do as an organization because we realized something that we are at a vantage position, specifically in tech, right? We have access to people that have been in the industry for years, people that we can call mentors. Some of us that work within the organization to probably as mentors. And because of the vantage position we have, we also come in contact with a lot of people trying to come into IT, just stepping into IT, just graduating and so on, and that have lots of questions. And so the ICT Career Talk was one of our ways of giving back to say, bring the people that have questions into the same room with people that can answer those questions. Please note something. Many experts have been wrong in history. Many. And so whatever it is that is being shared with you by anybody, including myself, understand it as guidelines, understand it as framework. Do not understand it as this is what I know. The important thing is we will share with you, and part of what I'm going to share today is some of the trends you should look out for, some of the things you should realize, some of the things you may not know, some of the things that, based on our own vantage position, we see. Right? So today's title is choosing a career path in IT, which is to say, oh, fine, I've decided I'm going to be in tech, I've decided I have a passion for IT generally, and then how do I choose a career path in IT? The first major thing I should mention is that IT and tech is not just about programming. It never has been. Right? Even though a lot of times when you are saying, oh, choosing a career path in IT, half of us probably thought we are going to talk about programming. Programming is just a small subset of tech. Programming is just a very small subset of tech. And if you understand it from that perspective, you then need to start thinking about what are the other parts of IT that may be of interest to me. Right? On this slide, on my right, yes, on my right, and I have quite a number of clippings and all of that. Most of them are in public domain. I didn't write anything that's new, nothing proprietary to me. Everything you will see in my slides are all in public domain. Right? On my right, you will see a list of top 10 highest paying tech jobs in 2020. Right? That should interest you. And this is from the US, obviously, right? Because US is still more or less like a leader in the tech field, generally speaking. And the most important one today is big data engineer. Who knows what big data is? Or who knows what big data is not? I'm sure you read it a lot of times, big data. Who knows what it is? Hands up. Remember I said this would be interactive? Nobody. So you can ask me this as a question later. Right? And of course I was going to ask you what's the difference between a big data engineer and a database manager. Because there are two distinct things in there. Really? Right? What's the difference? Right? If anybody is interested, you can ask it as a question. But there are quite a number of other things that are written. A lot of them that we are probably familiar with, and if we've heard of them. Right? So mobile application developer, data security expert, information systems security manager, software engineer, application architect. I was going to ask that question too. What's the difference? Application architect, software engineer. How are they different from each other? Right? data scientist, which is something that I mean most of us are probably very familiar with in terms of and but on my left are also quite a number of roles that are also present in tech, in IT. They may not be as high paying as some of these ones have shown, but they are very high paying. They are also very necessary. Project management is one of the ones, that's why we said that. Project management is one of the ones you have probably seen a lot of, heard a lot of. We don't place a premium on it in Nigeria, but the truth is more places a premium on it. Scrum Master, write it down. If you've never heard of it, write it down. Scrum Master. It's, it's something, well, new is relative in tech, I suppose, but it's something that came out within the last 10 or so years, right? A new methodology came out and everybody is now adopting. When I say everybody, most of the world, Agile. How many of us have heard of Agile? Agile methodology, Agile. Okay. It's a new methodology. I'll just say right now. I don't have enough time to start explaining that. But the key point I was trying to bring out is that in this new methodology, there are some key roles that have been created. There are some key roles that are very important. One of those key roles is the role of the Scrum Master. It doesn't have anything to do with programming. In fact, if you have a programming background, you may even have more challenges adopting and becoming Scrum Master. But I mean, a lot of programmers can become Scrum Masters as well. You can Google it. Everything I'm saying, like I said, is in public domain. There are a few others. There are support roles, there are marketing roles, there's operations, there's product development, there's content writing. Right? How many of you know that there are some people whose job is just to write health manual? That's just their job. And they earn a lot of doing so. Because your Microsoft Health Guide, for example, did not write itself. Somebody wrote it. Your software that is multilingual did not translate itself. Somebody translated it to French, to English, to many other languages. Right? It's not, it wasn't that it was just done automatically, it wasn't auto-generated. These are rules that exist within the tech space, and there are several of them. Social media is also, I mean, new, right? When I say new, I'm saying within the last 10 years or thereabout. Now every bank has a digital department. Every bank has a social media desk, right? And it's not just about posting on Facebook. There's much more. There's much more. And of course, design both from a graphics design perspective, UI UX perspective, and then application design perspective. These are rules that exist now, today, at this moment, within the tech space. Now the question is, how do I choose? How do I choose where I want to be? How do I choose what aspect I want to focus on? What I would say is that find your passion. If I didn't say follow your passion, I said find your passion. Because that will basically give you a pointer towards where you should go. I decided not to say follow your passion because sometimes your passion may be leading you in the wrong direction. Let me give you an example. What if somebody tells you today that his passion is typing? So he wants to be a typist, right? If you don't know, 20 years ago, that was a prime profession. 30 years ago, in fact, one of the prime professions was people that would write in shorthand. How many of you have heard of shorthand? Right? It taught me when I was in school. I don't know if it taught you guys. Right? But we had to learn shorthand, slash, and all of that. And there were people that was their profession. It was important during that time because they needed people to take notes in meeting. You can't be recording every meeting. Data storage was expensive and so on. So that was necessary at that time. The world has changed. And so finding your passion will tell us that, oh, fine, this is the area in which you are most interested in. I would also say please look into the future. It's not very clear, but I will start with someone, this is from World Economic Forum. Remember what I said, everything I have on my side, public domain, right? And as much as possible, it's attributed to those that own the intellectual property. I'll start with the ones that are declining. Because the job landscape for 2022, this was actually done in 2018. And the truth is, if you do the research today, 4 years after, 2 years to 2022, you will find that things have changed. But this gives a point to say what are the things you should not focus on. Data entry, that was a profession at some point. Accounting, bookkeeping, and so on. But let's move to the top. Imagine what was data analyst and data scientist. That is a major role that is emerging. But I have good news and bad news, even for data scientists and people that are aspiring to do it. Please Google it. The tech giants, the big four, are developing technology that will eliminate data scientists. Because they are developing technology that will make machine learning model by itself. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. And so it's still new. It's still the way when they are talking about AI and people are arguing about how AI will replace the human being. And people fail to realize that AI is still very young. Right? It's not even a discussion to be having at this point. It's still dystopian. Right? But here's the point, is that people are building technology to build technology. I'll give you another example. For programmers in the room, I think it's called no code. There's a new sector now, which is programming without you coding. I think it's called no code, but there are quite a number of them. There are about 4 tools. Some of them are playing with as well. And what they do, what those tools do is that you just drag and drop. As long as you understand logic, you don't need to know anything in terms of the programming language. Right? Just people know code to find it. Right? I can't remember the specific name of that thing, but it's an emerging sector today. So if you think that you are secured by saying that I'm a programmer and programming is going to be hot thing and all of that, please think it. But yes, look into the future. Looking into the future as well, looking into the future as well is understanding sectors that are going to grow and sectors that are going to decline because of the use of technology. One of those, for me, is agriculture, or specifically smallholder version of agriculture. Mechanized farming is the thing of the world now. And for half of those things that what we do when we farm, how many of you have ever grown anything before? Right? What do you have to do? You need to till the ground. Correct? You need to clear the weed. There's technology that can do that. It can be automated. Then what do you have to do? You need to put the seed in the ground. And it needs to be a certain number of centimeters. Right? There's technology that can do that. And what do you have to do again? You need to be irrigating, right? And be removing weeds. And you don't use teco anymore. You're chasing away birds and vermin and all of that. Right? There's technology that can do that today. Hope you guys understand where I'm going. Right? Yes, it's not automated today to some extent. But the truth is that a lot of automation is coming up. So it's not enough for you to say that I'm going to have a large expanse of land and I'll just be farming and all of that. Efficiency will overthrow you because people will be able to grow rice abroad cheaper and bring it in cheaper than you can grow here if you don't also adopt the same technology and increase the yield. Agriculture is going to be important. I'm just saying jobs in agriculture are going to be reduced. Hope you guys understand what I'm saying. This is my own opinion. Wrong, right? Yeah, the world is going to double its population from what everybody is saying. When I was younger, it used to be 4 billion in the world. Now, they say we are 7 billion or 9 billion. I don't even know what to believe anymore, right? And it's going to always increase. And every one of those people will need to be there, right? And the land is not growing. But I'm saying that in terms of the job, it's no longer that for me to grow 5 tons of rice, I need 10 people. Now I may only need one. Right? Same thing for most of the industry. Building cars. Back in the days, it was manual. Now it's automated. But let me move on. But yeah, these are some sectors that will grow, some that will reduce. Health, very important because new viruses are coming out. Corona, for example, right? And you have to figure out how to deal with it before it becomes a pandemic. Right? Interestingly, we are curing these things faster now because of technology. How will we live in 2050? Remember what I said. Think about your passion, but also look about the future. Look into the future. These are some things that people have said. That's the link to where they are various reports are. There will be many more actors. Some white hats, some black hats. If you don't know the difference, write it down and do it. Right? Some white hats, some black hats. Cities are going to be threatened because more and more cities depend on technology, smart cities. Right? The one that, I mean, for me, it was a movie, right? But for me, it was one of those ones that was like an eye opener for me. It was Fast and Furious. I can't remember what part it was, but an actor got into smart cars and started making all the cars reverse down. How many people have seen that movie? I know what it's about, right? I was in, and for me, I could see how it was possible to do so, right? Because a lot of cars, Teslas and Fiat and all of that, are connected to the internet. So if there's a vulnerability, it's very easy for someone to literally do that. And all the cars are just running like, what's the name? It was very interesting. I love that movie. But the point is, that's something that's going to happen. But then it creates jobs as well. It creates opportunity for people to prevent that. Security is going to be the need in the future. Warfare. There was a video as well, it went viral 2 years ago about killer bots. I mean, people saw it. I should Google it. Killer bots. Google it as well, right now and Google it. This is what they showed in it. The technology does not exist today, but it is possible. Drone. Very small drone. You know, there are drones the size of my hand now. Right? The drone is installed with facial recognition. And so the drone, and it also has a small bullet. Now the bullet is not the regular bullet. One of those bullets when it hits its target, it explodes. And so the drone, the person presenting, like they are presenting is hacker. Was talking about how they can use it to kill dictators and all of that, and then you can just fly the drone, and then you will just find based on facial recognition, get on that person's head, and then deploy its payload, and that person is dead within seconds. And then the person said this, that they can use it to target dissidents all over a city. Because if you don't know this, there's a startup today that is in a lot of trouble in the US because what the startup has done is that it has captured all Instagram pictures, all Facebook pictures, all Twitter pictures, and all the different kinds of pictures. So if you are trying to find someone, right, you can interface it with CCTV to see and and 131 and they'll tell you the answer immediately. They can convert that to something else, but that is not something the world needs. The world needed it when they were trying to go to the moon for the first time. There's a movie that talks about that. When they were trying to go to the moon for the first time, there were women that were calculating. Interestingly, it was women. Now, how many women do we have in the room? We have mostly men, right? But they were women at that point. Right? So it's not true that IT was always dominated by men. Right? But anyway, those are some of the things that are no longer required. And that's literally my last slide. So thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for your presentation. Right now we'll be inviting the second speaker. This is engineering manager from Andela, and he's going to be talking about software engineering. His name is Mr. Adeoye, and welcome. Thank you for the introduction. Alright, so good afternoon everyone. Good afternoon.
My name is Abioye Bankole, like I said. I'm an engineering manager at Andela. And I'll be talking about software engineering today. The first speaker covered a lot of ground, the general landscape of the future of ICT. So what I'm trying to do today is to drill down and be very specific. If you are someone that wants to become a software engineer, you're just starting out, and you see that there are so many options, so many decisions to make, how do I decide? I'm trying to guide you that you can start from here, and over time you can now expand and learn other things. Next slide. So, like he has said, there are many options today in ICT. You can be a database administrator, you can go into networking, you can be a tester, you can be a computer engineer, web designer. There are so many options. And one of them is software engineering. So, one of the things I want us to be able to achieve is, today or in the past, when you are looking for a job, you send out applications, you have a CV, share your CV with them. What if you are able to develop yourself to a point where it's the people that are employing that reach out to you? You don't have to have a CV, you don't have to apply for any job. That is what many software engineers are able to do. Today, you can go on Google, search for something, and Google will instantly ask you, are you interested in working with us? Take this test, if you pass, join us in our location, wherever they are in the world. So those are some of the things that are open to software engineers today. Next slide. So there are many programming languages in the world today, and these are some of the most popular ones. Can you go back? So we have PHP, like you mentioned, Java. I started my career as a Java engineer. Ruby is very popular today. For young companies, Ruby is preferred because you can quickly build your application and reach the market very quickly. But if you use something like C++ or Java, you need very solid understanding of Java to build an application. There's Scala, there's JavaScript, there are many of them. These are popular. Next slide. So if you look at the popularity or the interest of programming languages today, this is how it's represented. See that Python has a massive popularity because of the interest in artificial intelligence, data science, AI. It's used for that. You see that Java is also very powerful because of enterprise software development. Most of the very big companies out there today are using Java or have a history of Java. For example, Oracle, the most popular and massive database management system today, is powered by Java. And Oracle owns the Java programming language. And of course, there are other ones, including JavaScript. So before we go to the next slide, one question that many people coming into the industry ask is, what is the difference between a software engineer, a software developer, and a programmer? And to keep it very simple, because we use this interchangeably, it doesn't really matter, but it's good for you if you are going into a career as a software developer engineer to know this. The software engineer is more technical, and I'm using very technical and specific definitions there. The software engineer is more low level, and they are very technical and they engineer products. So for example, the products that Facebook developed, that Google developed, they need software engineers. Those that understand the nitty-gritty of software engineering and probably have computer science degrees. For software developer, we are talking about people that develop enterprise software, business solutions. So they have to understand the problem space. What does the customer want? And they are able to develop that solution to suit the customer. So they are more general, they are not very technical, even though they can decide to do so. And programmers are people that can program. So if you know a programming language and you can code, all I have to do is tell you that solve this problem using this programming language and you solve it. You don't need to understand the problem space, you don't need to understand the customer, just solve that problem, write that algorithm and then program. So I'm going to be focusing more on software engineering and software development as industry. So beyond being a software engineer, one thing you should realize is that to become a very successful person in this world, you have to develop some habits. And that is not specific to software engineering. There are habits that you have to practice every day. One of the things that the first speaker talked about is always learning, being a lifelong learner. Many of us, when we go to university or secondary school and we do our last exam with jubilate, that's the end. I'm not studying again, no sleepless nights. If you are going into the software engineering industry, you are going to remain a student for life. You have to keep learning. It changes virtually every 6 months. Like the first speaker said, 5 years ago, PHP was very powerful, it was out there, and few people knew about Python. Today, Python is the most desired programming language in the world. Right? And in 5 years' time, we don't know. Maybe, like you said, you don't need to know how to code anymore because no code is becoming more and more popular. You can build software without knowing how to program. Even though the person that builds that code platform is a programmer or something. So these are the habits that I will encourage you to imbibe every day. Set high targets for yourself. In this part of the world, at times we can pursue mediocrity. We want to get rich very quickly without putting in the hours. So let's set high targets. Let's not the most successful people in the world are a product of the number of hours they put in. So if you see a Messi being the greatest footballer in the world today, or Ronaldo trains like 20 times more than the other footballer. It's not like, so there is nurture, there is nature. It's not always your talent that gets you there. It's the time you put in. So somebody like Bill Gates, as a kid, when he was in primary school or secondary school, whatever they call it there, he was programming, he was looking at computers, he was moving to people that know about software and computers and learning a lot. So you have to practice every day. If you become a guru in the programming language today and decide that, oh, I don't want to learn again, and then you start doing other things, you become very rusty. So practice every day. Work with others, collaborate. Work with communities, like coming here today and meeting people. Always work with people. If you want to achieve something, you want to learn something, look for somebody like a mentor that knows it very well and let that person help you. One of the great people, I think, is Newton. There's this saying, he said that if I've seen farther than others, it's because I stood on the shoulders of giants. So learn from others. Don't start from scratch. Don't reinvent the wheel. Help others. All of us today, there's something we can do to help people. And people reach out to us every day for help. The more you teach people, the more you help people, the more you are better at what you do or what you teach them. And that person you are helping will come back today to help you. Because this life is continuous, like water. You don't know where you're going to meet each other. And then keep learning new skills. If you know PHP today, ask yourself, what other programming language do I want to learn? Can I learn Python? Can I learn Ruby? Can I learn Rust? Challenge yourself. Be a polyglot. Right? The first speaker said it's a generalist. So a polyglot is like somebody that knows many programming languages or many skills and is able to apply them. In fact, you are not safe as a software engineer or a computer specialist or if you don't know many skills. The more skills you know, the better. So next slide. So, like I said, my goal today is not to tell you about all the possibilities out there, but to say that if you want to be a software engineer today and you're trying to understand where do I start from, I'm trying to guide you that this will make life easy for you. So the same guy I talked about before, Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, if you look at him, he wears the same shirt every day. He probably has 100 or 1,000 of them. Why? Because he knows that making decisions is a task for the brain. And there are some decisions that he doesn't have the time or energy to waste to waste time on. So choosing a shirt, some of us, we have so many different kinds of shirts or dresses. Before we decide which one to choose, we can spend 30 minutes, 1 hour. He doesn't have to think about that. He has bigger things to think about. So that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to say, start from here. When you are good at this, then you can decide to explore others. So for me, if you want to be a successful software engineer and you are starting from scratch, you don't know which language to choose, I will advise that start with what is on the board. Not only am I saying start with this, I'm saying if you imbibe this and you practice using these tools every day, I can say that in 6 months' time or 1 year's time, software companies all over the world will start reaching out to you to come and do their programming tests, to come and do their opening tests to get a job at their company. That's happened to me. It's not like I'm making it up. So let's start. So there are 6 skills or websites that I've mentioned. There's JavaScript, there's VS Code, there's GitHub, there's Hackarank, there's LinkedIn, and there's Stack Overflow. I'm sure many of you have heard about it. If you have heard about any of the things I've listed here, can you raise up your hand? Let me see. Excellent. So you're already familiar with it. So the next thing is to learn how to use them very well. So there are many programming languages in the world. Why am I saying use JavaScript as a start? So JavaScript today, if you talk to software engineers, some of them will tell you that they are front-end engineers, some of them will tell you they are back-end engineers, some of them will tell you they are full stack. JavaScript is one of the few languages in the world that you can use to develop the full breadth of an enterprise solution. You can use it for front-end to develop the user interface, the web pages that you see. You can use it to develop your mobile front-end for your mobile phone. You can use it to develop the back-end. So on the front-end, you compete with PHP. On the back-end, you compete with Java, with C#, with Ruby, and all the others. That's how powerful or how useful JavaScript can be. And for people like us in this part of the world, like Nigeria, Africa, it's easy to start using JavaScript. You don't need to buy a license, and you can start practicing right now. All you need to do is open a computer, text editor, type in some JavaScript code, and you can load it in the browser and start. That allows you to keep your code. They call it the code repository. So any code you write, instead of keeping it on a laptop, you can push it to GitHub and it stays there virtually forever. Not only can you push it to GitHub, by being on GitHub, other developers anywhere in the world can see, if you make it a public repository, can see what you are doing and can decide to collaborate with you. And that's one of the things that I have experienced. I have a few projects on GitHub, and I've had people reach out to me to say, what is this project about? I want to contribute to it. And when you start doing that, you're more or less contributing to what they call open source. Hackarank. Now, Hackarank is an interesting website that teaches you how to code and gives you tests that you can use to test how good you are at that at coding. So what they do is, in software engineering, there's something called algorithms and data structures. As a programmer, those are the first principles of software development: algorithms and data structures. Algorithms are the steps that you use to solve a problem, and data structures is how you store the data that is serving as input into that problem. And then by the time you solve it, you have an output, which is the solution. So first principles of programming software engineering, you have to understand what algorithms and data structures are. And Hackarank, the website, will help you to understand the nitty-gritty of what algorithms and data structures are and teach you. find you without having to, go through too much hassle. Have a LinkedIn profile. If you are not a software engineer yet, put it at the top of the page as software engineer. That's what you want to do, right? And then describe, all the experience you have, all the education you have. And then Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow is a website that programmers go to when they are stuck. You say when you have a bug or you don't know what to do while you are coding, you go there and other programmers help them out. So when I said help others on the other side, this is one way to help others. By the time you become better at programming or you are learning to program and you are stuck, you can go to Stack Overflow, describe the problem you are facing, and I can assure you somebody will come out to help you. And when you get to the point that you are a master in what you do, feel free to also help others that are looking for help to start talking. So these are the 6 tools that I will encourage you to use. And if you are wondering how do I get started, what are the resources that you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, or I can give you my contact information. I can give you more information on how to get started. The idea behind this is to use these tools every day. 30 minutes, 1 hour a day is enough. Expose yourself to programming. Expose yourself to these tools that make you a better programmer faster, easily, at minimum cost. All you need is access to a laptop, access to the internet. Note that I don't say that you must own access. If there's somewhere you can go that is access to a laptop, you can use it. Or if you have your laptop, good for you. And if worst case scenario, if you don't have a laptop, you can use a phone. If you are that interested, if you are that passionate, you can learn programming with a mobile phone. So let's go to the next slide. So I've explained why JavaScript is based on front end or back end. It's free to use, you don't need to pay. Some of you realize that today, if you want to use some versions of Java, you have to pay or Java used to be free. JavaScript is high demand and is beginner friendly, right? While VS Code is also free, it's very fast. I used to use Eclipse and NetBeans for my Java development. And it used to take, even on the fastest machines, it used to take so long to start. But with this tool now, it makes life very easy for me. Yes, there are some features in NetBeans, in Eclipse that are very powerful that I don't mind using. But at times all I need to is get to speed very quickly. And for starters and beginners, this is a very good tool. It's extensible and all that. So I've said this before, but it's very important. I can't say it enough. That challenge yourself, set high targets. For example, you can say that at the end of this year, I want to be a mid-level programmer in X language, whether it's JavaScript or Python. It's something you can achieve. And there's something called SMART goals, right? It's one thing to set goals, it's another thing to set it in a smart way. It's where it's measurable, it's specific, it's timely. So that's smart, that's a meaning. So set those goals. If you need help setting those goals, I'm available as well. Set those goals and look for people that can support you to get there. Don't try to do it alone. There are like the first speaker said, there are over 7 million people in this world. And millions of people, 7 billion I mean. And most of them are waiting for you to come and ask for help. I mean, I don't know, before today I didn't know about income. Before the last week I didn't know about income. They reached out to me on LinkedIn and I opted to show up there today. It's not like, so there are people out there that are willing to help, that are willing to contribute, collaborate with you to achieve your goals. Take advantage of that. Don't go in alone. And, the other things I mentioned. Next slide. So, if by the stroke of luck you follow the advice I've given and you spend 1 hour a day learning programming, pushing to your GitHub repo, practicing exercises on Hackaran, and you're able to solve many of them, and maybe one company in Nigeria or in Europe or America reaches out to you and say, hey, we've looked at your GitHub. Because the good thing about having this public GitHub, Hackaran, Stack Overflow profile is that they are searching. Anybody in the world that is looking for developers has access to this file. And if they see that there's this young man in Nigeria or young lady in Nigeria that is pushing code to GitHub every single day, and they look at the code that you have there and they see what you have achieved, how you've grown over time. They know that this person has a growth mindset, this person is willing to learn. And the number one skill that any software company is looking for is somebody that's a lifelong learner. Because they know that software technologies will keep changing. But if you say that because I'm an expert in C++ today, I'm not going to change, or I'm not going to learn something new, they may not need C++ tomorrow. They may need another technology tomorrow, and they need you to ramp up on it. So that experience alone, tracking your progress, being available, visible online with those platforms, sets you up for success. So if, like I said, in 1 year's time, maybe December this year, you're working in that company and you're doing well, then you need to keep setting high targets for yourself. And software engineering goes beyond knowing the programming language, because with that programming language, you are more or less a programmer. What are the other skills that you need to think of? Most software engineers cannot say they are full software engineers without understanding storage systems. Note that I didn't say database management systems, storage systems. Because in the past, everything to do with storage for programmers was relational databases. Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL. But in the era of big data, when companies like Facebook, like Google, started creating or managing gigabytes of data every day, the amount of data that's created by those platforms is huge. Terabytes, even more than terabytes on a daily basis. They realized that relational database systems like SQL Server and Oracle cannot meet up. So they started creating better storage systems, and that gave rise to things like MongoDB, Redis, Elasticsearch. So you need to understand the concepts of data storage in 2020 and beyond. That's one thing you need to specialize in. Then you can't stop. If you decide to go with my advice and say, I'm going to do JavaScript, that's just the beginning. Remember I said, you have to be a polyglot, you should learn more languages, and you should keep learning new technology. Look at other languages, learn their characteristics. Why? Which of them is interesting to me? Like I said, Ruby is good for startups. If you want to build and release a project very quickly, proof of concept, or minimum viable product, Ruby is excellent. Many startups in America start with Ruby. Go is good for efficient programming tasks. Some of the things that we used to use C and C++ to do, Go and Rust, they are very good at, and Go is developed like this, like you can use it to develop very efficient, multi-threaded software. And Python, like I said, is good for AI, machine learning. So if you pick up Python today, you'll be involved in solving niche problem spaces, not very popular or general. Of course, you can use Python for web development, but I will tell you it's not very popular there. So, it's a lemon language. Then there's something we call agile software development program, right? In the past, there's something we call waterfall. And that's why I'm saying software engineering is not just programming, there's a process. You have to understand the problem phase. That's what business analysts do. They go out there, they talk to the customer, what is your problem, they document it. And then they bring it to the people that will architect the solution. So we have a software architect who look at the problem and say, okay, this is the kind of technology. They'll decide which programming language is best. They'll decide which kind of database or data storage system is best. They'll decide what kind of platform. Should we host it ourselves on Linux, or should we go AWS or Cloud Native or GCP? Those are platforms where you host services today. So those are some of the things that we do. So Scrum is a way, or rather, Agile mindset says that in the past, we treat software projects like construction projects. We start construction, and then we don't use the system until it's completed. We start building a bridge today, but you can't use that bridge until maybe 1 or 2 years after it's completed. Agile software development says that we can be releasing a version of that software every week or every 2 weeks, and you can start using it immediately. And as you are using it, you are getting your feedback, and we are using your feedback to improve the system over and over again, and it never ends. You keep improving it permanently. That is why you see that when you are using your Gmail or your Google search, in the past, Google started only with just search, type, and then now you can do image search, you can do video search, and you can do a lot. There is autocomplete. So what they've done is that even though you are using that Google search every day, they keep improving it over time using an agile development methodology. So it will be important for you when you become a good programmer to find out what Agile is all about and to embrace one of the methodologies, maybe Scrum. I am a Scrum Master and I understand how to use Scrum very well. It has its strengths, Kanban has its strengths, and there's Lean methodology has its strengths. And then beyond Agile, there's what we call DevOps. And DevOps says that DevOps is very similar, or it supports Agile in that even though Agile is a mindset, DevOps is a way where developers and the maintainers of those platforms where you deploy your software work closely together to ensure that administrators administering the website and developers can work seamlessly together. So as I'm writing my code, if I push it, it compiles, it tests, it is compiled, it is tested, and it is released to production without having to manually interfere with that process. That's part of what DevOps tries to achieve. And if you are going to be working for the biggest companies in the world as a developer, you should be able to understand how DevOps works. And over time, you should be able to at least do some DevOps tasks. And then you have to also understand the concept of object-oriented programming and functional programming. Because after you understand algorithms and data structures as a programmer, these are the two major concepts that drives how you develop the software. So, generally, to recap what I've said from the beginning of this presentation, I'm saying that if you are looking at the software engineering landscape and you are thinking, where do I start? I'm saying start as a JavaScript engineer because the tools are there, the resources are there, it's very easy to start. Use those websites and tools that I mentioned, which is VS Code, LinkedIn, Stack Overflow. Use them on a daily basis to improve your skills. And be a lifelong learner. Look for people to support you, collaborate. And if you do that, I'm telling you that software companies start reaching out to you. They can reach out to you on Akaran direct and say, we want you to do this. They can reach out to you on LinkedIn and say, apply for this job. They can reach out to you directly on GitHub and say that we like what you do. Come and work for us. And once you are able to achieve that, hopefully, then don't say that I've arrived. Keep looking at this kind of area to continue to improve yourself, to become, because in 1 year's time, if you are just starting as a software engineer, you'll be a junior engineer. Then you have to keep going to become a mid-level engineer, a senior engineer, and hopefully an engineering manager or a software architect or whatever role that you want to pursue. So, next slide. So thank you very much. That's what I have for now.
Next on our agenda, questions and answers. So I don't know if anyone has any question for the both speakers. Any question? Okay, I have a question for Ryan. Sorry, we're talking about PHP and being the next 8% of the World Wide Web. I read some articles of PHP is dying now. So I don't know if you could like counter that and give what
I actually mentioned it to say today, yes, PHP runs 80% of the internet, right? But we have better tools today, JavaScript, Python, right? Amongst many others. But the truth is PHP as a community as well is trying to reinvent itself. As a community, PHP 7 is doing much better than PHP 5, right? And so I don't know who's going to win the race. It's of advantage for us, those of us in the room, for us to have an idea of everything, right? So if you are looking for a role today, there are many legacy PHP projects. Those projects have to be supported. There are many sites built in WordPress, right? That in itself needs to be supported. WordPress itself is also building stuff. Part of it now API driven, which means over time they may even switch the backend from PHP because WordPress wants to stay relevant. with or without it. I don't know if you understand that. So yes, today PHP may be a dying language, but you know how Microsoft reinvented itself, and you guys can do without Microsoft. I think that may also happen. I don't know if you have it.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. That we should learn many languages, not speak one. And the interesting thing about languages that you say are dying is that you probably will pay more, right? Because we now have fewer people using those languages, and that means that there is more demand for them because it's a matter of demand and supply. Today, there are few C++ developers out there, but they pay them far better than JavaScript or PHP, they are generally speaking. So whatever language you learn, as long as you are very good at it, you will definitely get the opportunity to learn.
I'm sorry, I have one more question. For both speakers, we talked on technologies that might take our jobs, like programmers. So I don't know what do you like envision like for the future of programmers or like guys that are coming up as programmers, since you said that technology are already taking our jobs. So I don't know if you have what are you going to do as a programmer?
Yeah, I just felt like so those technologies that will take off, that will take the job of programmer are going to be using as so as long as you are a very sound software engineer and you understand the basics when it comes to algorithms and data structures and you continue to improve yourself, you probably will end up being one of those people building those technologies. But if you are just the surface or don't understand the nitty-gritty of software development, then maybe you might be at risk.
I'll also say what you should do is be a problem solver, right? And have the analytical mindsets, as we mentioned, right? To say, even those no-code programming, for example, still requires some sort of logical thinking, right? Yes, it's drag and drop, but not everybody can do it. But like it's also said, that drag and drop is an underlying technology that will be used by programmers. So two things: solve problems, have an analytical reasoning, and be innovative in terms of your mindset. You'll be fine.
I don't think anyone has.
Okay, I have a question for both speakers. It's kind of outside what we talked about it. You've been working as an intern remotely for a company for, let's say, 3 months or 4. When do you think is the right time to say, okay, I think it's time to move to a junior developer stage in your career?
So I'll say for the final question, what's your background and the internship? What kind of role do you do? You said you've been working as an intern in the company.
Yeah.
So what's your background educationally? And 2, as an intern, are you an intern, a programmer, software engineer?
Okay, it's more of a front end web development intern.
Okay. So for me, there's no fixed time or milestone when you decide that I'm going to the next level. You keep improving yourself, and those opportunities will come, right? So you will know when you're ready for the next level because you are constantly improving. And also set targets. One way you can set targets, you want to be a mid-level programmer. Go out there and look at the job offers out there. Go on LinkedIn, look for mid-level programmer jobs. Look at what they are looking for. That gives you an idea of where you have to be for yourself to meet them, at least globally. And I can assure you that if you're a mid-level programmer in Nigeria, if you are being employed by a Nigerian company, you are senior level for Nigerian standards. But the kind of problem being solved in America and Europe, whether we like it or not, at a higher level than what we are solving in Nigeria or Africa. Those are some of the things I like.
I would also say go for an interview or apply online for the junior developer role. If you fail, you know that you are not ready.
I applied online for an intern.
Wait, no, not like this. No, not, don't apply at the company.
Okay,
Go,
okay.
right, somewhere else. right? Not necessarily because you want to leave your current company. I'll tell you why I'm saying so. But because you then realize these are the 10 things that I need to have, and maybe I only have 5. Or they ask me a question and you don't solve it. Then you go and do it and realize how easy it was. You just need one day to have learned that. And then you start seeing what the knowledge gaps are. For my own company, right? For you to be a junior developer, you need to have at least 1 year of experience. It doesn't have to be formal. You need to have at least 2 working projects. It cannot be offline projects. It cannot be local hosts. It has to be online, working online.
Sorry,
right?
personal. Like your
It
personal.
doesn't have to be. It depends on what experience you have. It could be a personal project, or somebody must be using that project. Right? So it can't be that you just put it on local host or you put it on what's that field thing that everybody uses, 00 host or something like that. Right? No. Somebody must be using it. Even if this type of your friends that are using it, because things will break. You will fix those things at home and there will be some level of experience there. There are few other things to look out for. Right? But the question is, do you qualify under that criteria? And like I said, our standard is lower than what you will find abroad. Unfortunately for us, which is also fortunately for us, we are competing in the global market.
Thank you.
So we started, you mentioned agile software. Have you discussed what is for you can do
So for Scrum, Scrum follows what we call sprints. The sprints can be weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. So we call it iterative and incremental development, right? So let's say you have a big problem. The first thing to do is to break it down into maybe 100 parts and say for the first week you solve this first 4 parts and then we'll release it to the market. The next week you solve the next 4. So it's and then the first 4 features that you do, you can say, okay, you did search, you can search with 1 or 2 words the first time. First improve it so that you can solve up to 10 words, right? So you can keep improving over time. The expectation in Scrum, for example, is that there's always work to do. So you already have all the problem space and there's always work to do. Kanban focuses on flow, right? And there may be times that there's no work to do. When there's work to do, you want to be able to be as efficient as possible. And Kanban is the methodology that popularized what you call Kanban boards. So you have these boards and you can move from one status to the other and that. So that's the major difference. Kanban focuses on flow and being as efficient as possible when there's work to do. Whereas Scrum is that there's already work to do and releasing the software that iterative and incremental manner. And today Scrum is more popularly used by the companies than Kanban. So by default, when you go to anywhere, when they say agile, they are actually talking about Scrum. Only few applications.
What's good as well, so somebody discussion. Basically, I don't have a background in technical. So I want to understand where I come, where someone and people come in this space, because I believe even though there are many questions and things out there, somehow everything still drives towards ICT, the time somewhere now. So where do people look for you? Like an overview basically of maybe some of this you mentioned that I can relate to it and then go.
The view I would say here, customer experience is a big deal. User experience is another big deal. today, right? And for those two things I mentioned, you really don't have to have any software engineering experience. You must have the exposure, but not necessarily the experience. You need to understand how software works and how software should work. You need to be trained on how your own specific software works, right, and what you should expect. Business analysis is something as well that is critical. We don't place a premium in Nigerian space, but globally, people do not joke with it, right? Because before you even say that there's a problem to solve with technology, you should establish that what is really even the problem. How do we want to solve it? How do the user, customer see the problem today? Not that you are putting in the back of your room, and by the time you are done, even if it's one day, nobody needs it, right? Project management is also important. We don't place a premium in Nigeria, but globally, it's a critical one. I mentioned Scrum Master, and I'm glad there's a Scrum Master in the group, right? It's one of the highest paying roles today in technology, right? Especially for companies that are just trying to adopt Agile for the first time. Globally, Nigeria not so much. But the truth is, they are never preparing you for Nigerian environment anymore, generally speaking. There was one more I was going to mention that I can't remember, but those are some that I think are useful. I don't know if I answered that question. The reason is that you master. I think you should go first because I've been seeing your hand for a while.
Alright, so maybe now, I'm asking you now. Maybe now about the JavaScript and you want to start with JavaScript across the resources. But now, you don't need that React is actually currently coming up. It's a disaster framework. If you go and also venture into so maybe after the JavaScript operations, you now move into React as well.
So let me ask you a question before I start. Are you a programmer or do you know JavaScript or React?
I know JavaScript. I'm using my beginner endeavor for doing Scam and let like also things. So I want to start saying again, let's not know what I'm doing again. So as soon as I find CV, I have a picture of that already to go into React, that's what you demand every company to React. So that's why.
Okay, so it's an excellent question. My presentation was intentionally simple, right? You will know that for front-end, when I say JavaScript for front-end, in the past it used to be raw JavaScript, vanilla JavaScript and jQuery. But later on, we've seen React, we've seen Angular, we've seen Vue, and that plays another function, which one should I do? Whether we like it or not, today, React is the winner. So it makes life easy to start with React. So of course, when I say learn JavaScript, it's just the beginning. After learning the raw vanilla JavaScript, ES6 or ES2006 or any of them, you can decide to move on to TypeScript, which is a more refined and better, what is typed, right? So you are more difficult to make mistakes in TypeScript, but it's also more difficult to use because it's more short. And then you can go to React. That will be the next step for a front-end engineer. You should go into React. So yes, what you are saying is actually correct. As soon as you understand the basics of JavaScript, for a front-end engineer, you go into React. For a back-end engineer, start looking at Node, Express.js, and all that.
You said
What is big data? He explained it now. He explained it. Yeah. So we leave it like that. Just really, the first thing you see will give you a full definition of everything on it.
Well, just to help you out with this, big data, just like it says, in the past, before the advent of these websites like Google and Facebook, where almost everybody in the world uses it. Imagine how much data they're creating per second. It's massive. And the relational databases that we have, there's something we call normalization in databases, where you join tables to form queries. That is very expensive. Extremely expensive. So what big data tries to do is to, so So there's something called JSON, which you talk about. So what Google and Facebook and Co are trying to do, things like MongoDB and other big data approaches, is to have object relationship between data. So there's object relationship. So for example, your data on Facebook, you have friends, you have posts, so they are related, right? So those relationships are created as objects and saved directly like as JSON in the data, wherever they are stored, and they are easier to create because all you need to do to get the next data is which is the next table, right? So that's the general idea of how we do it. Yeah,
I don't know if you have any more questions. If you don't,
I have questions for them. Okay. And my question is that of those of us here today, how many of us are programmers at school? Because I'm actually interested in that field. How many of us have at least tried to program or learn programming language? And what programming languages have you played with? It's okay if it's not JavaScript or Java. What are these? Is it C#, is it VB, is it C++, PHP? Python, right? What about Java? Even it's HTML.
Well, how programming language?
Right. Okay, that's research based, right?
For data analysis and data science.
Data analysis and data science. That's cool. So we have a very wide difference. Only three. You're not a beginner, you're mid-level, right?
There's a lot of university.
Okay. Yeah. So those, I agree with that. So those ones you mentioned, which one are you taking towards on that?
Because the university was
So you can talk to me. You're interested in Java or JavaScript?
so that like I said, start somewhere.
Start from there, exactly.
So I'm saying that object oriented. I used to hate Java because I think I was
You don't have to do Java, you can do Ruby.
No, like, but then I started learning framework, PHP. So now I have
So Java, when PHP started, it was more or less procedural. And when they saw that Java was doing object, they started copying Java. But it's okay.
Yeah, so now I see the use of the objects and I'm interested in it. So I put it like something next after my
Excellent.
okay, that was much for that. So, we're moving towards the end of our debate, and for that, I would like to give like a brief bio of our speakers. Our first speaker was Mr. Badi, CEO of Social Lender, Income Center, and our second speaker is Mr. Abiri, a software engineering manager at Andela. Was a graduate of Mila, and without much further ado, we'd like to thank our speakers for coming to our event, and we'd like to thank our guests also for showing up for our event. And this is Income ICT. This is Income Center,